The process of authoring, when I say dare to author in the book, I'm not asking you to journal your life or to bring your emotions to closure. The authoring process is converting old experiences into future strength.
Welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by my man, Audley Stephenson, the Odd Man.
Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Audacious Living Podcast, where our mission is to help you live your best audacious life ever. I'm totally thrilled to have you here with us, sharing insights and inspirations, and I sincerely appreciate that you've taken time out of your day to join us. Together, we'll explore the power of personal choice, the impact of storytelling, and how you can transform your own narrative from your one that is of victimhood to heroism. Now, imagine standing at the edge of a vast ocean, the waves crash against the shore. You've got two choices, really: to let the tide pull you under or to ride the waves and emerge stronger. Your life story is much like a storm, filled with currents of experiences that can either drown you in despair or uplift you in resilience. The difference lies in your choice. By consciously deciding to be the hero of your narrative, you can navigate through life's challenges, turning obstacles into opportunities. Each wave of experience can be harnessed to build a stronger version of yourself, but only if you recognize the power of your own choices. Today, we have the privilege of speaking with Lior Arussy, a renowned transformation expert and an author with over 3 decades of experience dedicated to helping organizations and individuals thrive. Lior has worked with giants like Mercedes-Benz, Walmart, and Delta Airlines, guiding them through significant transformations. He's the author of the book Dare to Author: Take Charge of Your Narrative of Your Life, a book that empowers readers to become the authors of their own stories rather than victims of circumstances. Lior's expertise is directly relevant to our discussion today as he delves into the importance of personal choice in shaping our narratives. He provides an invaluable insights into how we can convert our experiences into strengths and why it's so crucial to break free from old narratives that hold us back. So now that we've got you all set, let's jump to our conversation with Lior. Enjoy. Hey, Lior, thank you for joining me here today on the Audacious Living Podcast. I appreciate you for making the time to be here. So thank you for doing this.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm looking forward to living audaciously with you for the next couple minutes.
Hey, listen, I'm always up for an audacious way of living our lives. It truly, it really is, in all seriousness, it really is just a wonderful way of existing from my perspective. And perhaps I'm a bit biased because I'm promoting this brand. But, the thing about it is, when you think of what audacious is, it's that thing that we all have inside of us, and it's not I think sometimes it gets confused with what people think it is. So is that whether it's the loudest person in the room or the person that gets the most attention or the most daring, and that's not it at all, because it's very much an individualized path that we're all on. We all have our own choices and decisions that we make along our pathway. And, what's audacious to me very well may not be to someone else. So that's very, very individualized. The key in this, and I think this might tie into, your work, you're a transformation expert and coaching, helping people. And the key and the word that you've used that I'm a big fan of is the word dare, right? You dare people. You dare people to dream, to think, to go beyond their current limitations. And so I think that's a wonderful starting point. Maybe, Lior, I will give you an opportunity to introduce yourself to our audience and talk a little about the work that you do, and let's get into this.
Excellent. And I would like to add my little definition of audacious to build on top of yours. So, yes, in the last 3 decades, I've been dedicating my time to helping organizations transform themselves. The reason for transformations can be wide variety of things: new strategies, it can be crisis, it can be new technology, whatever it is. Over 400 transformation with some of the largest brands, anywhere from Mercedes-Benz to Walmart to Delta Airlines, healthcare, and so on and so forth. And I've seen people struggling. I've seen organizations struggling. And I developed a methodology to help them basically get out of that struggle and build a better future, a better chapter for their professional and personal lives. So that's what I've been doing for the last 3 decades. I'm a father of five and proud grandfather of five. So that's part of my, the heritage that I'm bringing to the conversation. But I wanted to build up on your audacious definition because, in one way, you're absolutely right. Audacious means different things to different people. But I think there is a pattern. There's a pattern that we need to recognize. Every day when we show up at that day, individually, personally, or professionally, we have a choice to make. And the choice is to be a victim of our performance or to be the hero of our performance. And to be the hero is the audacious version of yourself. When you choose to care, when you choose to smile, when you choose to make a difference in somebody's life, no KPI, no organizational objective can force you to do that. You're the only one who can do that. Because if somebody's going to force you to smile, it's going to be a fake smile.
Right.
It's not going to be authentic, right? So we have a choice between withholding the better version of ourselves and a superpower or to activate them. And that's what the book Dare to Author is all about. How can you activate yourself to the better version of yourself? And in my experience, this is the audacious version in every person that's waiting to come out.
Yes.
And we need to choose to bring it out.
Yes, the word potential screams at me as you were speaking, right? That potential exists within every single one of us. And it is very, very much about that choice to tap into that or to regress. I want to tie into something that you mentioned earlier because you talked about people hold themselves back. And I'm just sort of curious. I want to sort of follow that line of that conversation, if you will, as to what do you think some of the things, or maybe some of the common things that prevent people from being audacious?
So I'll give you a very simple example. When I deal with leaders, I look at the way they come across to their employees, and most of them are repeating what they've seen from their leaders 30 years
Uh-huh.
ago,
Mhm.
and they portray this invincible leader. Like, I know everything, I have all the answers. Just follow me, just do what I say. And I say to them, you leave no room for people to contribute to the journey. You're like you're so tight on the plan that nobody has any place to contribute their
Right.
personality, their authenticity. So one example, for example, is the vibe that you get from your organization. If the feeling is that you are following leaders that are very process oriented, that are very, all the answers, exclamation marks, no questions, no humility, no, how can you help me? So then guess what? People will default to like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever I've been told and so on and so forth. So there is a leadership style, there's a cultural style that kind of either default people to victimhood or to become the hero. So that's one example. On the personal side, I will tell you something very, very interesting. So the book was born because I saw people struggling with obvious future changes that they needed to make. Like,
Right.
the facts are there. And
Mm.
I was trying to figure out, like, the facts are there. Why aren't you doing that? And then I realized we don't live in facts, we live in stories. And then what I found out is a lot of people are stuck in old chapters and they don't know how to convert those chapters into future resilience and into future
Mm.
readiness. And that's what's holding a lot of people back. They're still using old tools, they're still using old thinking. And that's kind of holding them back from moving forward. And that's ultimately the essence of the book, which is who's actually authoring your life story. Are you the victim of your story or are you
Right.
the hero of your story? And
Right.
my argument is if you're not choosing to be the author, you will become the victim. You'll become the victim of your imposter syndrome. You'll become a victim of your fears, of your anxieties, of things that you don't even pay attention that are part of that. And let's do a quick exercise right now,
Sure.
Audley. Okay. Uh, Without thinking too much, just from your gut, good news, bad news, what do you want to hear first?
Good news. Come on.
Good news. So you are in the minority by far. And there is a chapter in the book about this because what I'm trying to
Wait,
explain
hold
to
on,
people,
Leo. You're trying to tell me that you give people the option. They say, "Give me the bad news first."
75%, we did the study in MBA classes, 75% says, give me the bad news first. And what I try to explain to people, this is an example of an anxiety that shape your story in a different way. Why is that? Because if you're bad news first, you are a fixer of the current state. You're not looking for opportunities for the future state. If you are good news first, you're saying, hey, even if it's a crisis, I'm going to find a way to leverage it. I'm going to find a potential there. Now, people who are bad news first don't even think about the fact that that mindset is already shaping your story toward fixing the past as opposed to developing the future. This is just one example, and I list in the book
Wow.
and discuss the gratitude denial syndrome, the end of history illusion. There are a variety of perceptions, anxieties, paradigms that are authoring our life story in not a great way because we did not choose to be the author and the hero of that story.
That's fascinating. Going back to that study, because even in my mind, yeah, give me the good news, right? I want the good. Well, I want to feel good, right? I want to feel good, and who's to say the bad news is that bad, anyways? Like I don't know. And I think I'm really, I'm looking really simplistic at this, right? I'm not adding no complex theory. I'm just going, give me the good news. I want to feel good, and if the bad news is that bad, I'll deal with it. If not, then I'll stay good. Right?
But you're not, I commend you on that, and that's wonderful. So that helps you shape your story in towards the future with
Yep.
looking at potential, with enjoying life. Other people, the majority, are not like you, and that's one of those prejudice, if you may, that is shaping some people's lives in a very negative way, and they're not even aware of it. That's my main
Mm.
point is in your life story, you're either going to be the victim or the hero. There's no spectator in your life story. So
Yes.
you're either a victim or you're either a hero, and you can only be a hero if you choose to. But I want you to understand that if you don't choose the hero, you are choosing victimhood.
Right,
And
right, right.
that's the sad part. And the example of good news, bad news is one example of built-in anxiety or a paradigm that already we are nursing for who knows how long, but it's shaping our life story.
So again, your point I think is a really an important one here. By not choosing, you're choosing.
Absolutely, because there are no spectator in your life story.
Yeah, yeah. So it's funny. I ran across whether I think it was a quote very recently, and it said, and it's what's come to mind as you were talking earlier about the choices that we make, and it said that a mistake isn't a mistake until you walk away from an experience without the lesson, right?
That's I'm in the book. Not only do I buy into it,
Yeah,
I'm saying more than that. The process of authoring, when I say dare to author in the book, I'm not asking you to journal your life or to bring your emotions to closure. The authoring process is converting old experiences into future strength. And I'm going to give you a
yes,
great example.
yep,
Because in the book, I dedicated the chapter to COVID. In COVID, we all started as victims, the whole world. Nobody knew what was going on. We were all victims.
yep.
Every authority we trusted, from the health to academia to the government, nobody knew what to do, right? And I had a lot of clients coming to me saying, Lior, this is major crisis. We don't know what to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I said, how do you feel about it? And we talked about the emotions. And pretty much all of them were in this state of mind of this is unprecedented. And I said, like factually, you're right.
Yeah.
But emotionally, this is a problem because when you say unprecedented, you also say I'm helpless and I have no tools. So then I said to them, let's do a simple exercise. Let's
Mhm.
go to the last time you felt that you are facing an unprecedented event. And
Yeah.
let's see how you survived it. For many of them in the business arena, it was 2009. It was a dark financial year and so on and so forth. And we literally sat down and wrote it like a chapter. What was the threat? What did you feel? What was your lowest point? What was the moment you decided I have to do something about it? Which superpower did you activate? Which values came to life? Which values you didn't live by? What was the new insight and what do you take from it? So we literally sat down and with prompt questions, answer and build that story. By the end of that exercise, they look at it and says, okay, Now I know what my tools are for the next unprecedented story. And they dealt with COVID with much more strength and resilience, with the ambition to thrive and not just to survive. And in the book, I have a whole COVID chapter with prompt questions to help people convert that victimhood story into their future strength, because the art of authoring your life story is converting life experiences into future strength. If you want to be ready for change, if you want to be ready for the future, if you want to enjoy the future, you need to convert constantly, because your life experiences are the building blocks for the next challenge. I believe that we are never ever in a place where the challenge in front of us does not meet the skills and the experience that we have. We just need to discover them from the previous experiences.
Yes, and again, it's so yeah, and the thing with the previous experience, I think it's such an important point, is that choice and go either way, right? You can look at something and you can go, oh, this was the most terrible thing that ever happened to me, or hey, a great opportunity came from this, and I can use this for the future. And that really ties into your point as to what you take now to what you use ahead, and I think
Yeah.
that yeah, and I think that's where people really need to be careful. It's almost like so, sometimes you hear people tell like, oh, I had this experience, right? And maybe it was unfortunate, maybe it involved some form of loss, maybe it involved grief or whatever. And they'll tell this story, but the story doesn't end when the bad stuff occurred, right? The story has an opportunity to continue after that. But it's the part that people choose to tell will always sort of is the difference maker.
Exactly, exactly. And I have a whole chapter on taking the same story and having different ways of describing the story. So
Ah,
one person will be a results oriented, so he's going to go straight for the bottom line. Another person will be a process person, so he's going to describe the process step by step by step. Another person will be emotional, so he's going to talk about the emotions associated with the situation. One person will be inspirational, so he's going to look for the lesson in the future. The same facts will be told differently. That's hence my point. We do not live in facts, we live in stories, and we can
mm,
control this story. You talk about loss. I want to give you an interesting story.
mhm.
One of my employees was told that his father passed away while he was delivering a major workshop in front of hundreds of people. During the break, he was told that his father passed away. He called me and I said, how do you feel? And we started to talk about what did he learn the most from his father? What were the lessons? I mean, people were waiting outside having a coffee break in the middle of a corporate workshop, and we talk about what he learned from his father, what was his father wanted him to do, and I said, look, you have a choice here. I would fully understand if you need to cancel because you're full of grief and everything else, and that is one side of the story.
Sure.
The other side of the story is to go and share with them something small about your father, a lesson that you think your father brought to this world and made this world a better place, and maybe through that commemorate his memory. So one way is for you to grieve personally, and another one is to inspire people with your father's story. And he chose the latter, and it was unbelievable. He came out of it far more empowered because even that loss was converted into inspiration that was shared with hundreds of people. Which again, this was the challenge, this was the situation, and I'm being asked a lot about, can I dare to author a life story that I did not have any control over? Life has a lot of uncontrolled situations. And I kind of how jokingly tell people, did your parents even ask you if you want to be born? That was an unplanned situation from your perspective. Did they
That's
ask you
good.
who did they ask you where you're gonna live? Did they ask you, I mean, there are a lot of things that are unplanned. Let's face it. We plan, but life happens in a different way. Our power as individuals, as human beings, is to convert those experiences into
Yes.
strength that will make a difference in the future.
That piece that note that you ended on is something that's so important, and I promote often and always on this podcast, because I truly believe that by taking that step, by being courageous, by daring to be the live the life we're supposed to live, or author or direction, or author our path, or to take that first step, that by doing so we are bringing inspiration to others, even whether knowingly or unknowingly. the inspiration that you talked about. If I did a quick story. I remember a friend of mine. Friend of mine she's a business accountant and worked in the corporate sector for many, many, many years. Had gone to school there, had built a nice career for herself, but she wasn't happy or fulfilled. And we were sort of talking out loud and knew what was going on with her, how she was feeling about it. And she told a story of another individual whom she heard of. Didn't know this person directly, but this individual also started her career in corporate accounting field and was also not finding satisfaction. That individual decided that she was going to shift her focus and work with not-for-profits. And by making that shift, she found a whole new direction, a whole new path. Fulfillment and happiness rate, was off the charts. She was feeling fantastic about her life. And so as my friend is telling me the story, I said, wait a second. I said, that person made that shift. Is it fair to say, do you think that she was nervous about it? Yeah. Do you think she didn't know exactly where she's going? Yeah. Do you think she was taking a chance? Yeah. Do you think she was being audacious and daring? Yeah. But she did it anyways. And not only did she do it anyways, you're now finding inspiration from that because you're telling me about it and you don't know this person. So that's why I say knowingly or unknowingly, we can inspire people just through our actions, just by taking that step that we're contemplating. We stand on that edge, Lior. We're like, should I, shouldn't I? By taking that step, we don't know who's watching. And so that's why I talk about the knowing or unknowingly. And so, and again, to take that a step further, she's telling me this story of this person who she doesn't know that got inspiration. She told me, I'm now sharing with you on a podcast that others are hearing. And the person who made that first step has no idea.
Absolutely, absolutely. I want to build up on that. We when I work with organizations, it's amazing when people say, "Oh, we did a volunteering day, and that was so fulfilling and so refreshing." And I said, why did you find it so fulfilling to do a volunteering day, which is similar to working in nonprofit? And said, "Well, we helped other people. These people were in need, and we were there, and we had the power to help them." And I said, "How is it different than customers? Customers are people in need." Customers are coming to you and saying, "I need you now. You're the person with the power, and I'm the person with the need." I said, that is the essence of helping internal customers, colleagues, or external customers. You have that privilege. It's just that you don't think about them as people in need, but that's exactly the definition of customers. So I would submit to your consideration that we don't necessarily need to go and resign from our current place and go to a nonprofit. Every one of our, even for-profit, have customers who needs us, and we can be of a position of help if we only tap into the power we do have, not the power we don't have. But you know what? We're dealing with people in need every day. It's just that they happen to have money to pay for the services that we provide.
Gotcha.
But the opportunity is there if our center of gravity is the others as opposed to ourselves. And I have to tell you, especially in the spirit of the times that we are in, research have shown that if I give somebody $100 to go buy themselves something, or I give them $100 to go give to charity, the person who gave to charity will be far more fulfilled than the person who purchased something for themselves. Same amount, and totally different impact. Why is that? Why do you think it is that a person who bought himself something for $100 is less happy than a person who gave someone else $100? What do you think it is?
Giving, it brings about these good feelings, and it creates this positive energy within you that goes beyond just this purchase, this thing that you've purchased for yourself, and it allows you to impact others. And there's this natural sort of energy that comes from that, I would say.
So let's go deeper than that. When you purchase something for yourself, you tap into the part of you that is missing things, that is constantly feeling lacking. When you're giving, you're tapping into the part of you that has what to give, that feels that they have power. And that's what we all want. We want the ability to impact other people. We want the ability to have power to make a difference. So
Yeah.
we're tapping into two parts of ourselves as human beings. Either the part that's constantly lacking and probably will continue to feel lacking because as much as we're going to buy, there will still be other things that we didn't buy
Right.
for
Right.
ourselves,
Right.
versus the other part is directing us into the power that we do have and probably the purpose why we're here. And that is exactly where we feel that satisfaction and sense of purpose.
Got you. I love it. I love it. I'm so curious, Leo. Like, uh, sort of I guess a realization. Like, how did you get there, and what was that process like for you? That even go so far to. I know you said you in your work in the last 30 years you've been helping, but then to write the book, how did you get there and felt that it was important?
So So I have to admit that I'll share with you a very interesting story. I was walking, minding my own business in the middle of Manhattan, and a person stopped me in the middle of the street and gave me a big hug and says, "Lior Arussy, you inspired me because of your speech. I was so inspired, and because of you, I got divorced." And I'm like, "What? I don't talk about divorce. I don't talk about relationship. I just got the wrong person." I'm like, "I'm not that person." He's like, "Yeah,
You're
you
a
did
relationship
change."
killer, man. They're gonna say
I'm
you
like,
did
"What the heck?" I said, "Which presentation have you attended?" And he told me, I said, "That was about customer experience." I said, "I've not spoken." And it triggered in me the notion that people hear what they want to hear, not necessarily what you
That's
say.
right. That's
You
right.
know, people hear based on their background, based on their anxieties, based on their emotions, based on their layer of experiences. Um, and I said, wait a second, are we in control of that story? Are we even aware of that? So yes, I've had years and years of seeing employees and leaders struggling with change and struggling with the future because they were stuck in old stories. And then I understood that everybody basically have their own components that 300 people will be sitting in the same presentation and they will hear 300 different versions, because each one is hearing it from their own perspective, with their own anxieties and with their own hopes and with their own sense of inspiration. So that was kind of like a tipping point for me of like, let's develop this and see who is really authoring our life story.
Gotcha.
And that was kind of one of those stories that kind of pushed me towards that. And in general, because I believe that the future belongs to those who can adapt to the future faster, and as individuals, as professionals, as leaders. And I don't think that muscle is developed in all of us. We would rather sit in comfort zone, and we have this funny relationship with change where we all love change as long as we don't have to change, and that's not an option. And I ask myself, how do I give a gift to others to reconsider their position and maybe start flexing that muscle, maybe start lifting that muscle of strength during changing times. And that's how the book was born.
Yeah, no, and I think that's a really powerful message. Even with just well, I was on so many levels, but even if you look from the leadership perspective, for example, um, during challenging times, that you need that strength. You absolutely need that strength.
Yeah,
I do also really, really, really appreciate the point. I think we've alluded to this a couple times in this conversation about the fact that you don't know what people can take from the stories that you give, right? You've got no clue what they'll hear or what will resonate or what will impact or what their takeaway will be.
yeah.
Um, but you still got to take that step. You still got to tell that story. You still got to do your part and work to provide that inspiration.
In the past, when I was young and silly, I was trying to correct them to my version of the story. But today, I'm much more mature to understand that my role in life is to tell the story, and each and every one of them is going to take from it what they need, and their needs might be different because of their perspective and so on and so forth. He talked about leadership. I have a very interesting definition for leadership.
Yeah.
Leadership is not a process. Leadership is not a prescription. Leadership is doing the right thing when you don't know what the right thing to do.
Mm,
And when you think about it, that's when you lead. You lead when there are no pre-prescribed answers. You don't know what the right thing to do is, but you need to hone your skills. You need to hone your intentions. You need to hone your purpose in order to be able to lead people with the possibility that you'll make a mistake and you'll have to pivot and you'll have to, but people need to start accepting leadership as a journey as opposed to a set of 5 steps that I have to follow, and somehow I'm gonna have the right answer at the end of it. No, you won't.
And I think that's when we talk of sort of the shift in the leadership framework. Once upon a time, the leader must knew. They had to know the right answer. They had to make the right decisions. They had to know the right process to go. And as time went on, we recognize that no, they don't have to. Uh, but their role can be inspiring others to collectively work to get to that place together and
And and
galvanize
and
people.
and to ask the right questions as
Yeah,
opposed to
yeah.
have stop using exclamation marks in your conversation and start using question marks,
Questions.
and be authentic about be willing to actually listen to what others are saying. So a true leader is the one who's willing to rise up from the fear and to ask the question and to say to people, we're going to get there. I'm not sure how, I'm not sure when, but I know we will, and we're going to do it together. And each and every one of you have a room to contribute here. So the totality of it is going to be stronger than what each and every one of us can produce alone.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and it's interesting because as we talk about this concept of sort of taking charge in your life, it can appear in so many different ways. I even think from maybe you're looking from your career standpoint, right? It's that same sort of mindset, that same sort of approach where, hey, all these things are happening around me, and when do I take charge of that? And when can I take control of that? And I think the more, I mean, I can think in my own personal life where I remember consciously where I was like, yeah, I want my career to go here. And in order to do that, I literally sort of said, okay, so it's almost like, well, what I'm trying to achieve. What's the goal here, right? And then,
Yeah.
okay, so once I know what that goal is, what are the steps that like I need to do, or what has to happen for me to get there? And are there people that I know can help me a bit out, or are there resources that are at my disposal I may not be aware of, or like literally start that process. And then when you map it out, you have this wonderful game plan, literally, right? And it's almost like a step by step here, here, here. And the beauty of this plan is whether it succeeds or not, you still walk away with so much things that can help you flourish, right?
Absolutely. And at the heart of it, by the way, is your choice not to survive your career, but to thrive your career. At
Yes.
the heart of it is you not saying, I'm Audley and I am a victim to all the decisions of all the stupid managers above me, but you're saying, I'm taking whatever those processes and tools that I have available and I'm going to create something that I'm going to be proud of. That is the essence of taking charge. I mean, nobody gets a blank piece of paper where they can do everything they want. No one has an environment in which all obstacles were removed. It's you choosing, I want to thrive. I don't want to survive. I don't want to be a victim of this. I want to be a hero of this. And you may not make this as a conscious choice, but in the book, that's exactly what I want people to understand. You need to make this as a conscious choice. Whatever the situation is, I'm going to be the hero. Here are the steps. And then in the book, I'm talking about like small little details, like watch the words that you're using. Are you being cynical about the situation? Because cynicism is like cancer to performance. You're going to ruin this is not going to be an audacious life. It's going to be a life of like, why bother? And so there are so many examples that can help you start building it in a different path the moment you're making a conscious choice. I'm going to be the hero of that story.
I love it. I love it. Lior, this has just been so exhilarating. I so love the message, the approach, the mindset. Again, because of the impact it can have, so far reaching. For listeners that want to learn more about you, get a copy of your book, or connect with you directly, where can we send them?
So the book is available on Amazon, Indigo, Barnes and Noble, variety of places. So wherever good books are being sold, hopefully you'll find mine if it's not sold out. And for more of my articles and videos and all this type of things, liorarussy.com, LIORARUSSY.com. Free of charge. Go read the articles. It will challenge you. It will look at the future in some different ways. I love AI and I'm not afraid of it. So how about you starting to think about how AI can actually empower you and not take away things from you? LiorArussy.com and books wherever books are sold.
This is absolutely phenomenal. Again, the book is called Dare to Author, Take Charge of the Narrative of Your Life. And that's such a powerful byline. And thank you. This has been awesome, Lior. Thank you for being here. Congratulations on the great work, and certainly keep it up, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the show. I really enjoyed it.
Great. Back, we are here on the podcast, and when you think back to the conversation we had with Lior, one of the key takeaways was a profound realization that we are the authors of our own stories. He emphasized that by choosing to embrace our experiences, we can transform our perspectives and unlock the potential. Now, what I personally loved about this interview was Lior's ability to articulate the complexities of our narratives and how a simple shift in mindset can lead to monumental changes in our lives. His passion for helping others recognize their power to choose shines through, making this discussion not only enlightening, but also deeply inspiring. I encourage you to connect with Lior directly to continue the conversation and explore his work further. You can find his contact details and learn more about his offerings in the show notes below. In addition, Lior is also offering a special promotion to listeners of the Audacious Living Podcast. So be sure to check out the show notes again for details on how you can access exclusive content and resources that will help you on your own journey to authoring your life story. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Audacious Living Podcast. If you have enjoyed the conversation and found value in it, please consider following, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with others if you haven't already done so. Your support helps us grow and reach even more people who are ready to live audaciously. So keep daring and live your best. And until next time, stay safe, be kind, show love to one another, and be audacious.
You've been listening to the Audacious Living Podcast, hosted by Audley Stephenson. If you enjoyed what you heard, be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, be audacious.